is constant striving what I actually want? I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've been thinking back to when I was on a karate tournament team. And back then, it seemed to be all about improvement, all about goal setting, all about getting better. And on the surface, yeah, that fit. But deep down, I don't think that's what was going on. So we would have, as a tournament team, we would have these monthly practices, and we'd have a counselor sit down with us and work on goal setting, coming up with goals, coming up with habits to help support our training and outcome goals and all of that. And our this counselor, she would always encourage us to come up with our outcome goals. Like, what is the big thing that we're striving for? What is the big goal? And I always struggled with this. And she never really understood that. She couldn't understand me. She was a really goal oriented person. And in other parts of my life, with other aspects of my life, I had been that way. I used to be like that. And I wasn't with karate for some reason. For me, it wasn't about the outcome. It was about the process. And even if I couldn't verbalize that right away, that just felt right to me. It was about doing the karate. I just wanted to do the karate. I didn't care about the end result. But it seemed like I did because I was pushing myself so hard. But really, it was about just pushing myself in the moment. And so we would have to come up with these goals. And I would say to her, like, I just don't have any. She's like, well, just for the exercise. Like, I think she'd get frustrated with me, just, because I didn't fit this little mold, right, of this perfect competitor who was supposed to come up with his goal. And so, like, I just didn't have one. So I'm like, okay, I don't know, win a grand championship at a tournament, or, get my black belt. And yeah, those things were fun and exciting. And I wanted my black belt, and I wanted to do well at tournaments. I wanted to move up in rank. But it didn't really drive me the way it seemed like it should, according to this counselor and other people, like, oh, you should be focused on these external rewards. And I just wasn't. Like, yeah, I knew that if I worked hard over time, I'd move up in rank. I knew that over time, I'd, eventually get my black belt because I was dedicated to training, right? And so eventually, yeah, I'd get my black belt. I felt confident about that. I knew that, with, training really hard and practicing hard, that over time, I would improve and do better and better at tournaments, right? Depending on the dynamic, because you can't control everything at a tournament, and maybe you're the best competitor there, but you still lose because of certain dynamics and politics and all the rest, right? So I couldn't control that, but I knew that over time, I would get more confident competing. I would feel better about my performance, even if I didn't make that a goal, right? So it didn't really drive me. So I'd come up with these fake goals just to fit the exercise, and it was kind of frustrating. Because I knew even then that it wasn't about that. It wasn't about the outcome. It was about the process for me. I just wanted to do the karate. That's it. I just wanted to do the karate forever and never stop. And if along the way that meant I was going to improve, well, that was a natural outcome of that. But I wasn't striving for that. Not really. Nothing was more satisfying to me than just doing my training, just getting into that flow state, that meditative state where everything fell away, like stress about my mom, her cancer, stress about my marriage, all of it. I mean, it mattered, but in the moment when I was training, I felt like I could handle anything. I felt whole. I felt present. I felt like me again. I felt strong. I felt energetic. I felt totally at home in my body. I felt like I found myself again. And that's what mattered. It wasn't, the rank, the tournaments, the tournament results. It wasn't any of that. It was just feeling whole and alive and strong again and capable of handling anything. But on the surface, of course, it did seem like improvement because I was so driven. I was, such a hard worker, and I was at the dojo all the time, and I didn't miss a tournament. I didn't miss a class, and I trained a lot at home too. I was training hours and hours a day, but it was from passion. It was from love. I just could not do it. It was just such a happy, joyous experience for me. It was like this bubbling up of energy and excitement. I remember when I started karate, the first thing I thought to myself, like I think it was after the first class, was if I could make a career out of being really excited about karate, I would do it in a heartbeat. And it wasn't about the outcome. Like I was a white belt when I realized that. I was a white belt. I had nothing. I hadn't done a belt test. I hadn't competed, nothing. I just knew that like my excitement over just the way it made me feel, just how that process of learning and growing and training, how that made me feel, that was the most important thing. But it did seem like it was about improvement. It did seem like it was about goals and that kind of thing on the surface. But then I found this sticky note recently in my tournament binder, and it said this. It said, do I actually want to improve? Or do I simply want more of those moments when I feel whole and present? And I think that's it. And another note I had written, it said, the best part of karate is when I'm not striving. And for someone who's always been really driven in so many areas of my life, realizing this, it was so liberating for me. It's like I could just, karate is a meditation for me. It's a mindfulness activity for me. I just feel whole and present and like just in my body again, out of my head when I train. And like, wow, what a realization, right? It's not about striving. It's not about goals. It's not about anything external. It's not about external validation. It's not about other people's opinions. It's completely, entirely about what it means to me and how it feels to do the thing, how it feels to be engaged in that process, not the result, but the process. So maybe even on the surface when it seemed like it was about improvement, because improvement happens naturally when you're working on something, right? You get better at something over time, even if you don't, if that's not a goal, if you keep working at something, you will get better. So maybe it wasn't about improvement. Maybe it was actually just the act of pushing myself as hard as I could, whether I was any better the next day or not, but just pushing myself, seeing what I was capable of, seeing what I could handle, right? Even at, 41, never having competed, never having done martial arts before, never having sparred or any of that, never having been in a fight, doing all this stuff in my 40s for the very first time, seeing if I could handle what was thrown at me. And I think that's what martial arts still means to me. Even though my journey has changed, the way my training looks now is different. I don't compete anymore. Everything's different. But it's still about the same core thing, that I'm still here and I'm still alive. And no matter what, I am more than strong enough to handle it. Whatever life throws at me, I'm tough enough to handle it.